Hello, my lovelies, and welcome to Where the Road Rises, Law, Lessons, Legacy, with me, your host, Eileen Curlin Walsh. Our show often provides guidance for viewers caring for aging parents, ailing spouses, and their frazzled selves. And always we tell our stories, ease our burden, connect and learn through shared heartache, triumph, and hard-earned wisdom. Our guest today, Lynn Reasonover, is steeped in caregiving, and she's a great storyteller. A former senior vice president at Northern Trust, Lynn retired early in 2020 to become a full-time caregiver for her aging parents. Lynn has served on the board of Pathlights, our treasured senior support organization right here in Palos Heights. She is also a member of Carolel, a caregiver support system where she focuses on reducing caregiver burden and helping caregivers navigate the legal, financial, and emotional challenges they face. Lynn will share her lessons, including the importance of having a plan, the poignancy of end-of-life conversations, and those timeless values, love of family, love of life, and love of our common humanity. Welcome, Lynn.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh,
It's a
delighted
pleasure.
to have you on the show today. So why don't we start with just a little bit about you, your background, how you grew up, your relationship with your mother and father, and how you found yourself in the caregiving role.
Sure. So my parents actually moved here from the South, and I moved to Chicago long time ago, and ended up in a home in Chicago, and that's where my sister and I were raised, in a small 2-bedroom home. And so everything was pretty much traditional. My father was a factory worker, and my mom actually ended up being the principal of a Lutheran grade school in Roseland. And so my sister and I attended that school at one point, and then as we aged out and went to high school, my mother was a substitute teacher there at one point, became a teacher, and then became principal. And so that's pretty much how we grew up. It was a pretty normal childhood.
Mm-hmm. And how did you become the one who took care of your parents when that day came?
Sure, there's always one, right? There's always someone. So I tell people that everyone has a special set of skill sets. Everyone's got a skill set. So mine was, I was more of a project manager type of person. And with me being in the financial field, that was something that I had a gift in as well. So I became the financial person for my parents before having to become their caregiver, and it just helped kind of ease the stress of being the caregiver or having to step into that role. And so when it was time for them to leave their home and move into mine, it just made sense for them to move into my home because I was able to retire. I retired from Northern Trust and when I saw that there was a need, and they just moved into my home. And so I became the financial person, I became the medical person, everything that they needed in order to navigate the next years of their lives.
So Lynn, you said when it became evident that it was time that they needed the help. For our viewers, could you talk a little bit about the signs that we can look out for that our parents need help? Because sometimes they hide that need and we have to do a little bit of detective work.
Yes, and then we're in denial as well. So there can be things such as they may forget to pay a bill, they may forget to pick up after themselves, or they may start collecting things. And you're like, well, why are they collecting? What's going on here? Or they may fall. There may be something where they're falling or something. So something just is not what it used to be. So you have to be very, you have to notice, you have to look at these things, you have to be around them to understand that there's some changes there. In the case of my mom and my dad had fallen and he was in the hospital, and I thought, okay, mom can stay in the house by herself. That same night, my mother opened the door for a stranger who rang the doorbell. And I totally freaked out. because I lived so far away from them. But I was able to get there with my nephew and my my brother-in-law, and we got there in time, and I said, Mom, you can't stay here. You can't be by yourself. She was not happy about it, but it was just more comfortable for me to have her closer to me while my father was in the hospital. So that was the straw that broke the camel's back for me.
Yes.
You're not making the best decisions, so it's time to make a change.
I think that was so interesting what you just said, Lynn, that our parents tend to hide the need that they can't take care of everything themselves, and we are a little bit in denial because they were always the ones in charge, and now we have a reversal of roles.
Yes.
So it really is a moment, if we've never felt very grown up before, that we truly have to be the grown up. And let's just address that. How did you handle the reversal of roles from your parents taking care of you to you taking care of them?
Well, I'm the youngest, and it's two of us. My sister is a couple of years or 18 months older than I am. And so that was, I always had this leadership quality, I guess, or management type of quality. I was a manager at Northern Trust, so I always had that skill set. So as I said, everyone has their gifts and their skills, so it pretty much fell on me to manage that and to take it to another level. The role reversal was interesting because, I mean, let's face it, I'm the baby of the family. Who wants to take directions from the youngest child? But my parents respected my experience and who I was and who I had become and what they instilled inside of me, and they trusted me. Now, yes, we did have some conversations. Well, why are we doing it this way? Why are we doing it that way? But in the end, it was really they really patted me on the back, because when the doctors would come in, anytime we would get into the hospital, and they were capable of speaking to the doctors, but they said, ask Lynn. Lynn knows it all. Ask Lynn, she'll tell you. So that was great.
And you mentioned your sister, and I know sometimes our caregivers, in the midst of all the work they have to do, there may be some resentment from siblings, there may be some mistrust, there may be some jealousy. Did you have any of those experiences either through your work with Carol L or with your own sibling?
So, as I said, everyone has their skill set. Everyone has something that they bring to the table. You may be the financial expert. You may be the team that handles the entertainment. You may be the entertainment committee. You may be the financial committee. So you have to understand where you are in that process and then make the best out of the situation. My sister cared for her mother-in-law. She had to step away from her job to be able to care for her mother. So she had experience with doing that. And so my sister, like I said, she had her skill sets, I had mine, and we just kind of made sure we tag team with each other. Communication is key. It's very important to be able to communicate. And I understand that there are always sibling rivalries. There are things that happen. Oh, she did this to me. She pulled my hair when I was 3 or something of that. But you've got to come together as a family in order to give your parents the best that you can give them.
Oh, I love that. And what is the best time to start planning for our aging parents?
Now is the best time to plan, because things happen. Things will happen. You may walk out today and some for example, I was taking my parents to my a doctor's appointment, and my father fell while trying to get into my car. Nobody planned that. No one knew that was going to happen, but that was the situation that changed everything. So planning should start now. Have those conversations. Start talking with them. You don't want to have, let's say, a birthday party and say, okay, happy birthday. That's great to hear that, I'm glad you're having a birthday. In the meantime, I want you to answer these 12 questions. That's not the best way to handle it. Just gradually get into it. Start talking about things that they may want as they start to age, and then start documenting it so that you have something to take to a professional to get everything into place.
Yes. And maybe Thanksgiving, or a time that the family all comes together, and coming from a big Irish family, I'm always quick to say, before any alcohol is taken, maybe talk about the parents' needs and who might take on the various roles. And I love that you said communication, because I think if families are informed, there's far less chance for any sort of resentment or mistrust to gather up. So how about an extended support system. When do we know it's time to bring in professionals, and how do you navigate that? Because I'm sure it's hard for our parents to realize they need help from us, but then now we want to start bringing in maybe additional care during the night or early in the morning or things like that. Any thoughts on that, how to introduce that subject?
Sure. Caregiver burnout is real. People tend to want to take on everything, and I did the same thing. I figured out that, hey, you know, I worked in corporate America for a long time. I understand how to work this project. Case in point, your parents are not projects, okay? Your loved ones are not projects. So, but I thought I had it under control. I thought, you know, I have this, I have that. But burnout is real because caregiving is 24/7. It's 24/7. There is no downtime for you. So you need to be realistic. You're not going to be able to handle everything. Sometimes the person that you're caring for may be declining at a faster rate than you had anticipated, and then next thing you know, you're all over the place. You can't think straight. You can't sleep well. So you gotta plan on when to bring in the people and that to help you. So, and then here's another thing with caregiving. Oh, I don't want those people I don't want people I don't know in my home. I don't want anybody in my home that I don't know. I get that, but as a caregiver, as they tell you when you're on the plane, you got to put your mask on first. You have to know when to pull the trigger and say, okay, I need some help. So if you're not able to sleep, you're not able to think straight, if you're just exhausted all the time, or your emotions get in the way where you're getting mad, you're getting angry, and you're at the person that you're caring for, it's time to bring in the next level of support. And that may be a volunteer, that may be a family member, or maybe someone from an agency. I always tell people, look at referrals as well. Bring someone in so that you can take the time that you need in order to rejuvenate.
Oh, that's great. And as you talk about making a plan and putting a plan in place, as you know, we at Curlin Walsh Law help people get that legal plan in place. The wills, the trust, but not just for after death, the powers of attorney for finance and healthcare. Now, we've seen the mess, and that's my client's words, not mine, that is left behind when somebody does inadequate or no planning. And we've seen how smoothly things go when a good plan is in place, and all your time can be spent looking after your loved one, not going to court to get a guardianship or something like that. So what's been your experience of getting a plan in place, having the right plan, or have you seen examples of no planning and the consequences of that?
Yes, the stories I can tell. Let me explain. When I decided to get my parents into getting a will and a medical power of attorney and all those things that fall into place, I don't know what happened. I think I may have read something about it and said it's time. And I did this way before they moved into my home. Thank goodness I did that. That was a lifesaver. One of the reasons being because when my parents, if something were to happen, something happened to them, I had to call the ambulance, right? So then the ambulance would take them over to the hospital. I always carried the entire packet, the power of attorney for whatever, in my arms. I had the folder that I would carry because in case the doctors asked any questions, yes, I have power of attorney, blah, 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 blah. That was a lifesaver. I can't imagine not having that piece of paper and trying to deal with all the emotions that are involved with your loved one going through whatever medical emergency is going, and then trying to figure out, well, I don't know what they want to do. No, I'm glad that I didn't do that. But then it just made it's made things easier because also, when my parents passed, my mother most recently passed in June of last year, the transfer of their property that they had to us. That was already, the basics were already put into play, but it made it easier to move it into my sister's name and do everything. It just flowed so easy. I can't imagine what type of things I would have had to jump through in order to get things done. I have another family member right now who's struggling with the good and the bad. The bad situation is that the person, a cousin on another side of the family, passed away without any documentation, anything. No one had power of attorney. No one had any of that information. And so now they're trying, and because he has no children, no spouse, his parents are gone, it's the cousins. So now they've got to jump through all these hoops. Someone has to, come out financially to take care of things while the legal side is being taken care of. That could take a few years.
Yes.
Another situation, same family member, and someone else passed away. This person had everything lined up. Beautiful service, everything was taken care of. Everything was written out to say my children are going to have this, this, and this. Done. So all you have to do is concern yourself with the grieving process at the time. Nothing about, oh my gosh, we've got to go through probate. Who's got money for that, or who's going to? All that was done before. So there are advantages, and there are advantages of having the pre-planning. There are huge disadvantages with not having any of that information ready for you.
Why do you think families leave it so long and sometimes too late? Because if capacity is gone, even if you still have your parents, it's too late.
Right.
You'll be in guardianship court and probate court. Why do you think people put it off?
I think people don't understand, and they're scared. I think a lot of people are scared to talk about what's going to happen to all of us. We're going to pass away. And I think people feel that if I speak about it, then it's going to happen right then and there. So you have to tap somebody on the shoulder in the family who has the skill set. Remember I talked about skill sets and gifts of being able to talk about this without people feeling afraid. So they don't know, and they don't know what they don't know. They assume also that their parents are taking care of everything. Oh, mom and dad, they raised us, so I'm sure they've got everything into play. That's not always the case. And then when things happen, families have had a lot of situations going on because they thought mom and dad had everything together. So they're scared. They don't know.
Yes. And I think sometimes siblings, children are afraid the parents will think that they're greedy, that they're thinking about their own inheritance.
Right.
And then, as you say, if there's a little bit of denial that the parents are no longer the ones in charge, the big strong ones, it really can be a perfect storm for not having the documents to take care of them while they're still living, and for things not to be in order for after death. So we're preaching to the choir a little bit. I talk to my viewers about this all the time. I know you had a good plan in place for your parents, and you have a great plan, like myself, in place for you. But there really are tremendous cautionary tales of those who leave a mess, and success stories of those who got the planning in place at the time. So let's kind of take a couple of steps back to caregiving. What is your advice for the family and the loved ones filling the hours as they care for their parents? Are there any activities that you think of that can enhance quality of life? Is there something that you find was good for connecting with your parents? Did your parents keep their capacity? What did you do if and when they were losing it? Sure.
So what you have to do, or what I did, is I focused on what they like to do. My father was a music person. In fact, I still have a lot of albums. Yes, albums, people. Albums in my garage. My father he knew about jazz and all the stories behind the musicians and things of that sort. So music for him was something that kept him focused, and he loved to plant things. My mom and dad are from the South, so they truly believed in planting things, growing things, and so there were in fact, I still have a bunch of plants in my home that they planted. So you have to focus on what they like to do. My mother, my mother loved doing canning. I know that's something odd for some of the younger viewers possibly, but canning preserves. She actually built a business around that. We had her doing all these shows in the surrounding areas. She had a strong following. So my father, when he was capable, he would come as well. And it was funny because we would have our shirts together, and my mother would talk about her preserves and people would buy it. And my father was the treasurer. So he would say, yeah, go ahead and talk about that. It's going to be $15. I need your $15 right now. So it gave him purpose. So I say focus in on what made them happy. My mother was happiest when she was making preserves. She learned how to make candy. She was selling that as well. She loved that. So if there were things that I saw that she was missing, it's like, okay, come on, let's go to the store and buy some things and let's make these items. That made her happy.
I love that, Lynn. And what you're really talking about are your family stories. And my audience also hear me often talk about the value of preserving those stories, about kind of talking to your parents about their lives and maybe getting a legacy letter written about their values, their meaning, their purpose, the hard things they went through, what they learned, how they'd want to be remembered, what they were grateful for. Were you able to talk to your parents about their lives, get their stories, and did you draw closer to them during those difficult caregiving years?
One of the things that was passed on to me, someone told me, make sure you get recordings of your parents because you'll often go back to them just to hear their voice. So my phone is full of videos of the fun times that we had, the trips that we took. I was very fortunate. I was mentioning this to someone yesterday that my parents were able, we were able to go to Cuba as part of a family reunion. And so those trips that they took, I made sure, and of course everybody thought I was overdoing it. It was like, oh, she's taking another picture. Why is she doing this? But it brings me happiness at this point, and knowing that, and to hear their voice. So take the time to, you may have like, oh, my parents were this way when I was growing up. I don't know if I want to do that. Do it anyway, because when they're gone, they're gone. And at least you'll have a video, a picture of something that they really enjoy doing. I loved to make them laugh. It was funny when they were like, they kept thinking, oh, she's crazy. But it brought happiness. So I may do crazy things for them, but it was because I wanted to hear them laugh.
Oh. Be it an oral history, a video history of their lives, or written stories, get those stories while it's still time. Because as you said, when they're gone, it's just too late. And I have clients talk to me with regret over and over that these stories just went over their head. They didn't pay much attention while they had their nice, healthy parents. Then parents or grandparents are gone, and that's when we really wish we had listened better. Do you have any words of advice, of comfort for caregivers? How do they balance the stress of this difficult time, but also the sheer, it really is a privilege also to be able to take care of your parents in those years. So is it possible to overcome the obstacles and enjoy that time?
Yes, I think it is. I often tell people about getting into support groups. I really feel that support groups give you golden nuggets of information. When you are speaking with someone or a group of people who are in a similar situation, they will drop something and say, oh, maybe you want to do this. That will just totally change your world. I'm not saying that friends are not great. Friends are great. But if your friends are not in a similar situation, it's very hard for them to relate to you. But getting connected with the right support groups will help you navigate and also remind you to take time for yourself. They may ask you, okay, what did you do for yourself today? Let's check this off on the list. So it holds you accountable. And it really is beneficial for you as a caregiver in order to be in the best position possible, physically and mentally, to be able to care for your loved ones. That's something that's is possible or strong as well. But also getting professionals. I can tell you the stress. I came from a financial background, and people often ask me, oh, I'm sure you're doing your own investments. No. I'm semi-retired. I'm not doing that. Oh, I'm sure that you know something about legal, so you're going to go ahead and do your. No, I'm not. You get a professional to do. You drop in professionals as often as you can, because here's the thing: you grew up with a certain set of skill sets. You went to school for something, and you're probably very good at what you do. Do you really want to branch off and learn something else? at this particular point, especially when you're caregiving, especially at 3 o'clock in the morning when things could get really kind of crazy. Do you really want to talk about, well, I think maybe I want to draft a will? No, you get a professional to do that. And that way it makes it a lot easier that you know that things are taken care of and that all you have to do is make a phone call. So I preach that to everyone that I talk to, and because it's so important. You don't know how long you're going to have your loved ones. So it could be 3 years, it could be 10 years, or what have you. Why complicate your life a lot more by trying to take on too much? Hire the professionals, talk to professionals, so that you can continue to live your life and keep supporting your loved ones.
Golden words. Good financial advice, good tax advice, and good legal advice pays off at any age or stage. Last question, Lynn. What were your greatest life lessons learned taking care of your parents?
One of the life lessons I believe I learned is you mentioned it, it's a privilege. A lot of people see it as a burden because, and I get that, I understand that. It's a lot of things that you have to pull together. But to be able to be there for your loved ones, that was the greatest thing. I was holding my father's hand when he passed. I was holding my mom's hand when she passed. That was not written in the books. That's not something that it was a goal of mine in life to do. In fact, I said I didn't want to do that. But because of how they raised me, what they instilled inside of me, and the person I had become, and the people who are around me supporting me, I felt comfortable, and I feel that I've done everything that I could do, and that's a great joy for me. So I think I'm glad I was there for them. I'm glad I was able to be in the position to care for them.
Lynn, it was our privilege to have you talk to us today. Thank you so much for your wisdom and your insight. And thank you, viewers, for watching. And if you need any help with getting those plans or those professionals in place, you can always reach out to me at Curlin Walsh Law. So take care of yourself, take good care of each other, and I will see you next time on Where the Road Rises. Thanks and bye.